Hello everyone, we're back here for another round here of Prestige Worldwide Racing. Welcome to PWW, welcome to the Catalina Wine Mixer event. Here we are here for round number 9 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And it's myself, Jota, here for this next event of this beautiful World Championship, as we have many drivers just getting themselves out for this short qualifying event. All of the drivers just getting themselves into the swing of things once again for another exciting round of this championship. And an increasingly exciting World Championship it's getting at the moment as well. PWW excited to continue on with its amazing events. The Catalina Wine Mixer event still falling well in favour at the moment of Parondi in the Haas. Currently on an outlap at the moment, 78 points in total, in lead of the championship. Nearest rival is Bailey in the Alfa Romeo. Before we get to FRA Crispy in the Williams, Iron Fox set in the initial lap. So we keep following Joko around here in Azerbaijan. Very steady as he obviously goes through the third sector. Very, very close circuit here in Azerbaijan as per usual. Of course, being the street circuit that it is and the layout being the defining point of this circuit. Lots of 90-degree corners. Very easy to get wrong. See Danny Rick come across the line, 138.8. And the Mercedes in seat of Shazam. And little Joko will come across the line now anyway, see where he puts himself. He puts the updated livery Red Bull into second place, 1 minute 40.2. A bunch of drivers just getting into the mix as well. The Alfa Romeo, PWW, Thor getting into the mix as well, as Bonatire Clips does. As Crispy has retired from the session entirely. In characteristic circumstances, the third place man in the championship will be starting no higher than 17th, and you'd expect it will be the back of the grid when Veyron sets his lap. Not sure exactly where he's retired. Looks like to me he's retired in the pit lane. No, he hasn't. He's actually retired on circuit on his own accord here. It looks like Iron Fox has done exactly the same thing here as well, as we go on board with Parondi, who sets the fastest lap of this race with that 38.7. And the Alkali Haas F1 team going to be happy with that one as the championship leader continues. A seriously intense run out in the championship at the moment, beating Danny Rick by just over 1/10 of a second. Bunch of people still on laps around the board, and one person on an out lap at the moment. This man, the Alpha Tauri of PWW, the dude, as he's just going into turn number 3 at the moment, and a little bit of a lock up on that front left. The number 2 Alpha Tauri, and rather number 2 because he races with the number 2 as opposed to the second driver, number 2. Just heading through turn 5 and 6 now. Close as you can to wall, open up the corner for this mini straight. And the Alpha Tauri wanting to keep on with some relatively good pace he's had the last few races actually. He's not been with the pace of Parondi, but certainly been with the consistency, as he's actually just left the session, would you believe? So I'm wondering if we're starting to see some disconnections across the board. Just trying to monitor the situation, see what's going on. And we have full confirmation that actually we're going to be heading into a lobby restart, as it seems that we've actually got a few people currently struggling at the moment with this particular lobby, as to be expected with, unfortunately, the Codemasters franchise. There are some issues, as a few of the drivers still haven't quite got the message at the moment, but a few people choosing to get themselves out of this session as quick as possible. Yeah, that full confirmation for that one about 60 seconds ago. Here at 11 minutes past 10 British Standard Time. And lobby restart, as I said, has been confirmed for this PWW session, so we'll wait on full invites being sent out across the administrators here for this session, and hopefully we'll get a qualifying session underway very shortly for round number 9 here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. This is PWW, the drivers just getting themselves into the brand new lobby. Hopefully we'll be getting going very shortly, but in the meantime we'll carry on with this music. Once again, this is PWW, just waiting on the drivers all connecting themselves into the lobby. We should be going back into a race in around about 1 minute's time, but in the meantime we'll continue on with this music. Once again, this is PWW. I'm really sorry for the delays that we're currently experiencing at the moment. We still have those issues with Codemasters, but we've got everyone in the lobby and we are due to get going very shortly. Stay tuned, we'll be back in just a second. In the meantime, here's the music. This is PWW, we are back. Thanks again to every single one of you just waiting as we get that lobby restart up and running. We have had a few technical issues as to be expected, unfortunately, with the Codemasters franchise, which means that these drivers were struggling with a few desync issues in that previous lobby, so they're just getting themselves up and running once again for a restarted qualifying session. We have another 18 minutes of action though for you to just divert your eyes to, shall we say. It is myself, Jota, once again for this PWW Catalina wine mixer event. This is round number 9 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, live here in Baku. 20 past 10 if you're currently living in the central time zones, including in the UK. The majority of these drivers over in America, late afternoon for these as they just get themselves back into the swing of things at the moment. The majority of these drivers just trying to regulate their thoughts again, regulate their sort of spirits towards this new session here. And it'll be a bit of a kick in the teeth, you'd have to suggest, for the Brazilian driver, actually, BRL Perondi. He was fastest in that session by just a little bit under 1/10 of a second. And he'll have to replicate that once again. We'll follow his teammate, PWW Reskiller. So plenty of drivers now will get themselves going here. It seems to be a little bit more of a stable session here in Azerbaijan. Just keep an eye out on those drivers now, all getting themselves on laps here as we just follow Lil Joker in the updated livery for the Red Bull. Of course, if you're not familiar with the livery, if you may have missed the Turkish Grand Prix last week, the drivers, both of the Red Bull drivers for that matter, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, both racing with this updated Red Bull livery just for that race to celebrate the relationship between Red Bull and Honda. Of course, it should have been the Japanese Grand Prix in the time of the Turkish Grand Prix, but unfortunately that was cancelled due to the ongoing situation across the world at the moment. As such, the team wanted to celebrate the relationship between the Japanese manufacturer and themselves before, of course, Honda pulls out of Formula One. Of course, Red Bull powertrains will then take charge of the power unit that's been bought out from the Honda factory. There's rumours and some news speculating as well that some of the Honda engineers will actually be leaving Honda to work alongside Red Bull powertrain. So I only wish them and the rest of the team best of luck, of course, as they, in the real life F1, begin their journey into not just chassis development but also power unit development. Follow the Red Bull of Lil Joker. Red Bull just powering now down the lines and down the long straight out of turn 28 towards turn 1 as Crispy sets the initial lap time, 38.7. Lil Joker comes across the line with a 39.6, and Perondi comes across the line and actually beats Crispy. Just a little bit over a 10.5, but he did have a lovely toe, didn't he, by the Red Bull in front of him. So you'd have to argue only a 10.5 with a massive toe from turn 20 down to turn 1. Perondi might be a little bit on the back foot here in this second session. Danny Rick comes across the line and he beats Crispy. He's on the front row as it stands at the moment. Remember, this is a short qualifying session, so all of these drivers are going to be scrapping out for pole position, and of course the top 10 will start on the tyre that they qualify on. At the moment, Danny Rick did not actually have a toe himself, and he was only 67 hundredths of a second slower than Perondi. I'm sure Perondi's going to be looking a little bit over his shoulder here, because if one of those drivers ends up getting a toe, he could end up being 3 or 4 tenths down, despite the fact that he actually had a toe. So he's going to have to look a little bit towards the first and second sector, see where he's losing time to Danny Rick Crispy. Marie come across the line in the Alpine. She starts at the moment in P4 on the second row of the grid. We should be happy with that one. 4/10 of a second in front of Lil Joker in the Red Bull. Clips as there's been a bit of a collision towards, I believe that might be a wall, with Little Joker and Bailey, would you believe? Bailey actually second in the championship at the moment, and he's actually received a 5-place grid penalty for the collision with Lil Joker. Currently 1 minute 40s at the moment for the Alfa Romeo, and he's definitely got wing damage, so he's going to have to come in and change that front wing, get a new set of tyres on, but he's going to have to handle a 5-place grid penalty for the man currently in second place in this championship at the moment. He won't be happy with that one, I suspect. We've got 9 people currently setting a lap at the moment. I said the top 10 will start on the tyre that they qualify on. Here's a Ferrari of Veyron as he's very slow and steady through a final corner, turn 19 into turn 20. And I suspect he's going to be coming into the pits regardless if it's been an out lap, and he is doing so, is the Ferrari. He's not, but he's very slow at the moment. And I'm wondering if the reason why is because he's currently racing without a racing line. If you're unfamiliar with PWW rules, no assists are allowed. Pardon the corners-only racing line. And a little bit of me is wondering if Veyron is doing a bit of lifting and coasting going into corners, because he's a little bit apprehensive about missing his braking zones, but not doing so bad so far. First sector doing quite well. So far very well taken from the Ferrari, but he is going to be a little bit down the order, of course, if he is using this session to try and maximise absolutely no assists at all. Misses his apex ever so slightly going through 6. Let's see how it does into 7, though. This is going to be the bit he could make or break a lap, and he's absolutely broken it there. He's, I think he's expecting a bucket load of understeer, actually, going through 7. And the grip was there. That was basically what it was, and Veyron's invalidated his lap. Here's Luciano, the other Ferrari. If he is on a lap at the moment, is that Ferrari, and he's just trying to get something on the board at the moment. Currently in P11 without a lap time, but he's alongside a bunch of other drivers as he just piles it into the wall ever so slightly. Will get away with it though, will the number 2. Apparently a purple second sector as well for the Ferrari. Very well taken through turn 16. Goes through turn 19, and a little kink of 20. Doesn't really count as a corner, to be fair, with these cars, but he's getting a tow from Veyron. He's going to be happy about that one, wondering if his teammate was actually being slow to make sure he could give his teammate a tow, but he's certainly getting it here, and he's worked a treat. P5 for the Ferrari. The question is now, is Veyron had to abandon that lap as well? Let's see. He is not opening his DRS, so he has abandoned this lap as well. Best scenario there. Have a little look around the field at the moment, see how everyone else is. Reskiller out of the session as there's been a collision, believe, at the castle section. That's turn 8, 9, 10, 11. Looks like he's piled it into the wall. Won't be happy with that one, will the Haas driver. I think we're probably going to miss it. Cold despawn, and there it has gone. But that's where we saw, unfortunately, Skiller out of this race once again, out of this qualifying session rather. Yeah, good afternoon to anyone tuning in. Tuning in over in the United States, good afternoon. If you're tuning in the UK, good evening. And this is PWW. Currently watching on the East Coast in America, 5:30 in the afternoon. If you're watching Central, 4:30. And of course, if you're watching in the UK, it is now 10:30 in the evening. Hope you're all well enjoying your afternoon Saturday in America, and hoping your evening weekend in the UK. Luciano does manage to improve by 0.3 of a second in that Ferrari, and he's started to put a little bit of pressure here on Danny Rick and Perondi, and Perondi will be looking over his shoulder, as I said, as he's actually spun the car going through the castle section. Looks like he's mounted the curb going through 11, has Perondi, and that's might actually do him a little bit of unfavour, actually. The Haas driver was looking, if he can anyway, to try and carry some pace forward, but unfortunately for him, doing that spin might have actually knocked a little bit of confidence out of the championship leader. We have the Alpha Tauri teammate to PWW, the dude tonight, number 35, Toneless Death. He's just on an out lap at the moment, is the Alpha Tauri. Keep an eye out on Mods SC Boy though as well. The Red Bull is looking to try and get into the mix here with his teammate, currently P8 at the moment. You see he's consistently been beating his teammate this season, whoever that may be. So he's certainly, you would consider to be the lead driver in the Red Bull Honda garage. Of course, he's watching in the United States garage. We're through turn 19, and then into turn 20 as the Honda Power Unit is going to be chugging away, trying to pull that Red Bull down the straight. With the DRS open right now, that's going to allow for the Red Bull to set a time, hopefully to be in comparison with those at the front, but he's not. He's only actually in P5, but he's 2/10. Well, it's actually a bit less than 2/10 actually. It's 0.194 seconds slower than that of Perondi, so it's less than 2/10 of a second, says the Red Bull, and he'll be a bit disappointed that he's actually in P5 with a time like that one. And that's the unfortunate nature of how competitive PWW has been this season. 100 drivers just getting themselves out in the mix. Here it is, the Alpha Tauri of the dude, as he's just trying to come round the corner. Currently letting a bunch of drivers through at the moment. Just clipping the curbs ever so slightly. Does the Alpha Tauri. Just getting himself round here, and he needs to set a bit of a representative lap time now. He's still without a lap time with nearly 14 minutes of this qualifying session gone. And form working a little bit of favour here. The table might not suggest the dude is sort of up there, but he's got the consistency to suggest he certainly can be as consistent as those towards the front, and when people do make a mistake towards the front, he naturally is usually there. As Marie has actually gone fastest, obviously the track working in her favour. 38.4 for her, as we see the dude just about to start his lap now in the Alpha Tauri. Marie's going to be happy with this one actually. She's a little bit out of position, you would suggest, considering her form throughout the season. The qualifying has not been so bad for Marie, but the races have been not so great, so she'll be hoping to keep up with the form of those in front of her in the championship, and she might be in for some good points here tonight, perhaps a podium, if not a race win. So turn 5, turn 6, a few little lockups for that Alpha Tauri as the number 2 is looking to just get himself going here. I suggest, or going to assume this is going to be more of a conservative lap time for the Alpha Tauri Honda as he goes into the castle section. Very well taken despite the lockups, actually went in there with quite a bit of speed. He heads through now turn 13 and then another left kink of 14, and then the sharp 90-degree downhill section from turn 15. Very well taken, avoids the wall. And we'll keep it steady throughout turn 16. It is a little bit more conservative through that corner. I've seen a few people spinning around that area as they head through turn 19. Hits the wall. And that is going to hurt him all the way down this straight here, because, of course, either lifting off or hitting the wall and losing speed as a result, he's going to have to pay the price all the way down. He's actually abandoned this lap entirely as a result of that one. Wonder if he's got a little bit of damage, and he's actually only got 2.5 minutes here, so this is going to be a little bit of a tight one here for the dude. No Limit New OQL in the Aston Martin, similarly looking to try and get going here. And he is on that medium tyre as well. Worth taking a look at the situation, because of course those in the top 10 who qualify in the top 10 will have to start on the tyre that they set the fastest lap time on. Currently, Mods SC Boy and Duffy's setting their lap time on the medium. Supply Raptor is out of this qualifying session. He takes no further part. He's also on the medium, but starting at the moment in 10th. So Bailey, the man who should be sort of up there at the moment, he's P2 in the standings at the moment, and he's actually in 11th in this qualifying session so far, as he's just about to start his lap. No Limit, no AQL, and the Aston Martin going to get himself in the mix here. Will he get into the top 10? He does himself, gets into 10th place exactly. So he nudges Supply Raptor down to 11th place. He'll be starting on the medium tyre as it stands for No Limit, no AQL, unless someone can beat him. You'd think that Bailey would be up there, the dude potentially as well, but he's going to have to be very, very quickly about getting out of the pits here, and I'm wondering if he's not actually going to come out here, because he hasn't got any time at all left to get out and have a go at this here. So I think the dude is out, and he's going to be starting at the back of the grid with his teammates as Crispy comes across the line in the Alpine with a 1:38.3. He now is on pole position. Veyron needs to set a lap, and he's going to get into the mix here with that one. So it is currently an Alpine leading the way in P1. Marie, who should be in the Alpine, I'm wondering if she's actually changed to the Williams, starts in third as it stands at the moment, but she is only half a tenth down on pole position here, and she hasn't got enough time, I think, to set a lap time here, so she will be out of running to improve on her 38.4. Perondi's going to come across the line. He's going to be one of the last to finish a Q3 equivalent lap time, you'd have to say. As we follow Luciano, just trying to get around the yellow flag zone as the Aston Martin bails from his lap, sending it down the escape road. Here he comes now through turn 13, close to the wall, steady through 14, into 15, and Luciano again wanted to keep on with some relatively good form, but crashes it into the wall ever so slightly, and the Ferrari will lose a little bit of time through here, but it will not harm him as much unless he hits the wall here. Keeps it steady, doesn't want to do what the dude did earlier on and hit the wall, because he will end up carrying a lot of reduced speed. He takes it very well. And again, he's looking to try and improve here on a 38.7. He's on a fresh set of soft tyres as well, so he'd be hoping to at least beat Perondi's initial lap time. 38.7 he's looking for, comes across the line. 38.9, he's a quarter of a second slower than his fastest lap time. He'll be going no further than P5 for him, unless someone else can improve at the moment, as Bailey has actually bailed from his lap time, as we have a very, very intriguing way of taking turn 15 from Perondi, who absolutely mounts the curbs. Massive lockup, but it seems to work quite well for him, because he's set a fastest second sec to anyone as he's clipped the wall himself there, and that'll cost him some time, and it's going to cost him all the way down the straight, of course, because he's going to be without that extra little bit of speed, that extra bit of pace that, yes, he might make up under DRS, but it's still going to cost him, especially through 18 and 19. Will he be able to get himself on the front row? Will he be able to get himself on pole if he comes across the line? He does exactly that. Does the championship leader, 38.2 in the end, and beats Crispy by just a little bit over a tenth of a second, 0.104 seconds, and it is the man of the moment, the man leading the championship here in the Catalina wine mixer hosted by PWW. He is the man on pole position, and he is the fastest out there by just a little bit over 1/10 of a second as Thor comes into the pits, and we await him retiring from this session. So it is the man, Perondi, who manages to, snags himself a pole position with that 1 minute 38.264. He is going to be very happy, as will BRL and as will the folks of Brazil. I was just in conversation now, post-qualifying session, as we did eventually get a qualifying session underway. And as we said, Perondi managing to get that pole position by 0.104 seconds, and a very, very close in the end between Crispy, Danny Rick and Marie for also for pole position, all within 0.2, all within 1.5 tenths actually, with Luciano in 5th. And he'll be a bit disappointed in the Ferrari that he couldn't close down the gap on those in front of him. And of course, towards the middle and the back, there was that collision between the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo during that qualifying session. So Lil Joker and Bailey both with a 5-place grid penalty, and Bailey is the man in 2nd place in the championship as well, and he will be starting well down the field with that 5-place grid penalty, though he will be on a fresh set of tyres. I'm certainly looking forward to this one. It's going to be a race from the back for Bailey, and it's going to be a race of high attrition, of course, for Perondi. Currently leads the championship in PWW. So we just await now as we go into the waiting session here, and it is, of course, as we said, Perondi leading this race, leading the championship, and will be leading the formation lap. He starts on the soft tyres though, so you'd have to argue it may be a little bit of an inverse strategy for him. And possibly not the best strategy as well, because we do know that the degradation around here is rather high, and we are expecting to be more of a medium to soft race as opposed to a soft to medium race. Five rounds, of course. In this championship, it's been a seriously intense one, and as we continue on with these races, Catalina wine mixer is shaping up to be one hell of a Grand Prix season. As we said, here in PWW, Burundi starts on pole with Crispy in second place, Danny Rick in third with Marie in fourth, Luciano in fifth place. They all start on the soft tyre, with Mods SC Boy on the mediums, with Duffy's on the mediums. All the drivers just getting on with their reconnaissance lap. We look towards the back, of course. There is Bailey, 17th place, with Little Joker down to 13th place. Both collided in qualifying, so a 5-place grid penalty for the pair of them. And the championship runner-up, as it stands, starts on the medium tyre. He chose to start on the medium, but he is well down the field and is going to have to do some racing to get past some other drivers. Of course, some of them didn't even set a lap time. One of those actually being PWW the Dude. Both Alpha Tauris were set to the back. Zion Fox does manage to get back into the session, thankfully, in the Alpine. PWW the Thor starts in 11th in the Alfa Romeo. And strategy-wise, two drivers electing to start on the hards. No Limit, No EQL starting on the mediums. Behind him, Supply Raptor starting on the hards. And then in P15, the Dude starts on the hard tyre. Everyone else on a mix of medium and soft tyres. Good evening. If you're watching in the UK, good afternoon. If you're watching over in the United States, this is PWW. Welcome to the Catalina Wine Mixer event. It is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and it is myself, Jota, for this 26 lap event. An intense qualifying session with a restart required due to the various desync issues has seen Burundi get on the pole position, and the Brazilian continuing on with his excellent form, leading the championship, leading this reconnaissance lap around Azerbaijan tonight. We do have the Dude in 15th. We've got Veyron in 18th, starting on the hards. Keep an eye out on Bailey. 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Little Joker, who also has to serve that 5-place grid penalty, and they both start in 13th and 17th. Bailey's second man in the championship at the moment as well, and he's actually second from the back, so he's not going to be happy, and it's going to be one hell of a drive for Bailey. And Chris Bate, the man in third place in the championship, starts on the front row alongside Burundi. Marie, a little bit out of position when you consider her, shall we say, sort of pace within the field this season. She's not been really up there, but obviously the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is working in her favour. Luciano in fifth, where we'd expect him to be. Duffy's a little bit further down. No Limit, No EQL right slap bang in the middle as he starts on the mediums behind Supply Raptor on the hards. So with Marie a little bit out of position, that could really mix things up in that front field. And towards the back, of course, Bailey is well out of position, with the Dude a bit out of position as well. It's going to be a very interesting race indeed. We've got Veyron not able to set a lap time either in qualifying. He chooses to start on the hards, as we've already stipulated. He is going to be one to watch as well from the back, and it's going to be interesting to see how his strategy works out as those drivers are getting themselves ready. They're lining up now on the grid. Drivers lined up, we're counting down the lights. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, and it's 5 lights. It's 5 lights, and they are a go. The drivers, here they are. Burundi getting a really good start here, as he looks like to try and bounce back here from Crispy, as Crispy doesn't get the good start here, but there might be a collision maybe up the backside there from Marie, but Marie manages to hold on quite well as she tries to battle hard with Danny Rick, but Danny Rick holds on to P3 quite well. Positions changing across the field. Duffy's up 1, SC Boy down 1, as we've got multiple people. I think we've got a spinning car again, and we've got a spinning car of Mods SC Boy, would you believe, in the Red Bull, as Zion Fox is disconnected from the session, so they're both now towards the back of the grid, with Reskiller also struggling as well in the sister Haas. It's a Haas sandwich at the moment here, as we have Burundi leading the way, followed by Crispy, then Danny Rick, Marie, Luciano, Duffy's No Limit, No EQL, and they've got Little Joker and Clips also in the mix as well towards the back, as the Red Bull looking to try and bounce well here, as we've got a really, really good race happening here for the Dude at the moment, who's up 5 positions, would you believe, in this start of this race, as Bailey is also in the mix as well, as we definitely stipulated. The second place man looking to get a good start, and he's certainly got that, up 6 positions from P17 now to P11, just on the clips of the points here, and he might get into the points here, as Little Joker currently struggling at the moment throughout this first lap here. Maybe some tyre issues as he tries to get himself into the mix, but he's currently losing a bucket load of time as we've got more collisions towards the back, and I believe that might be Reskiller again who spun the car, as Veyron and Clips also getting in a few collisions, I think maybe potentially, as we've got a very slow car of Clips currently struggling. That's because he doesn't have a front wing at all, does the Williams. And Burundi also now now trying to pull that gap now on Crispy already in the Alpine, and the Alpine starting to lose a little bit of pace here is the third place man in the championship, and Danny, Rick and Marie really holding on to the back of the second place man at the moment, as Luciano is out of the race, and I believe he's had a collision. I'm not sure what's happened with a virtual safety car, and he has had a collision, I believe, at turn 19. There he is, he's collided just before turn 20, and I believe it looks like to me he's got a bucket load of understeer, and he's crashed it into the wall and crashed it to the opposite side, and we have now a full course caution. It is a full safety car as a result of the car being on that circuit, and a bunch of drivers already making their pit stops before we've even really got going here, and I assume that may be for some damage repairs. And certainly Iron Fox is going to be wanting to get back into this session because he's now up to P8. As we do have a load of people trying to get front wing changes. Mods SC Boy doing exactly that. Little Joker also probably wanting a brand new front wing, as we do have the Haas of Reskiller now able to get to the back of this queue and change perhaps of tyres and front wing so he can get into the back of this session, as we are now once again behind the safety car. As the Azerbaijan Grand Prix usually brings us full course cautions and full course yellows and safety cars, of course, as all of the drivers are now slowed down by 40% of their usual speed. Safety car was not fast enough out of the pits, so Peronde will be doing another lap at reduced speed, of course, with no overtaking allowed to catch up, as Reskiller just drives past the safety car. It is the Williams Williams rather than Mercedes AMG. Williams will be hoping they could make their own car. They definitely don't have that one. Mercedes AMG in red edition, shall we say, sponsored by CrowdStrike. People in the chat: FXBR, Jonah, TJ Souza as well, both supporting Marie, and a very good start from her indeed. P4, she's looking to try and mix it up. And we'll see what the drivers are all going to do, and they're trying to get off the soft tyre as quickly as possible, and you can't really blame them for that one, as Marie, who I believe was on the Williams at one point, was in the Alpine rather, is now in the Williams, just going to be changing on now to a brand new set of medium tyres. Brandy does manage to get out in front of the rest of the field, very, very close margins there. But would you believe, after all of that, it's the second place man, Bailey, who started in P17, now leading the way in P1 after that. And he's on the ideal tyre as well to do the two-stop. The rest of them behind of them will be having to do a two-stop race, because the medium tyre surely cannot go 23 laps unless there is another at least couple of safety cars. So, once again, behind the safety car here in this PWW event here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, this is the Catalina wine mixer, and we'll take a look again, as we said. Bailey, 17th place he started, and he's now up in the lead of this race on the ideal tyre for the one-stop. Of course, those behind him will be wanting to match with the one-stop, but they'll be doing a two-stop because they pitted under the safety car. PWW, the dude, also up a bucket load of positions as well. He started P15, he's now into second place, and crucially, he's into second place on the hard tyre, would you believe? It is a set of hard tyres on the Alpha Tauri, so he's going to go very long into this first stint. Going to go even longer than Bailey, so if he manages to hold on to the back of Bailey, he suddenly could be in a real, almost race-winning position, you'd have to argue. That's assuming, of course, he can keep the heat into these hard tyres. One thing that is characteristic of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is the F1 drivers do struggle keeping their temperatures into these tyres, and the Pirelli P0s do have a little bit of an issue with that. So just follow Reskiller. Of course, the limitations of 40% have now been taken off. Usually you do have to follow a delta, even if you are in real life, but they are taken off, so he can try and catch up to the rest of the field. We are behind the safety car for another lap, but I have a feeling we're going to be going back racing at the end of this lap. Reece Gillett is just currently trying to catch up with the rest of the field at the moment. And as I said, it will be a Haas sandwich between P4 and P17. Rondi was leading this race with that Haas sandwich earlier on from P1. So we'll call Iron Fox, the Dude and Bailey the sandwich toppings on top of the second loaf of bread. I don't know where I'm going with that. I was trying to dig myself out of a hole because I thought Perondi was still in the lead, to be honest with you. And I forgot they did pit alongside Crispy, Danny, Rick and Marie. They come out in the formation that they were in at the start of this race. Perondi leading, Crispy behind him, then Danny, Rick and Marie. They were P1 to 4 after the safety car, of course. Bailey, Iron Fox, both on the medium tyre with the Dude on the hard tyre. Certainly working out wonders for the Alfa Romeo, who starts P17 and has got himself right back into the mix here, and it will be one hell of a performance for the man's second place in the championship if he wins this Grand Prix tonight. And I think a massive accreditation will have to be given by those across the PWW community, as well as the F1 community in general, if this man does manage to get himself a race win tonight from P17 in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. All the drivers now just heading through turn 13 under the safety car, and he is weaving his tyres left and right quite aggressively. I think he is well aware this safety car is surely going to be coming to an end. When that safety car does come in, it's going to be a very, very intense start to this race. There it is, call from race control. The virtual burnt Mindlander will be coming in, and the safety car lights are off, and we're going to be following Bailey as he just keeps warming up his tyres, and they'll be weaving left and right and left and right, and Iron Fox doing the Kimi Räikkönen approach. The Alpine says no to all of that because he's on the soft tyre. Thought he was on the medium, he's on the soft tyre, so he's going to have plenty of temperatures in as they come around turn number 20. And I'm sure Bailey is going to be leaving it till the very last second to go here. And he has gone. As Supply Raptor Mods SC Boy currently getting a little bit of issues there, and he'll have to wait until the green flags are waved, and we do go green again here in Azerbaijan. It is a very good start for those in the back, but not for Iron Fox and Crispy, as both Alpines have got involved in a collision somehow, and now they go all the way to the back of the grid, which is certainly going to put a smile on this woman's face. Marie is now up into third position, and these drivers who have made their pit stop theoretically could go to the end. Whether the tyres can make it or not is another question. One driver down, 2 to go in her mind. So, current situation, safety car comes to an end. Bailey leads this race on the medium tyre with the Dude on hard tyres. Perondi behind on the mediums, with Danny, Rick and Marie both pitting alongside Perondi on a set of medium tyres. They were on the softs at the start. No limit, no QL, up 3 positions as well. Very well taken and very quickly taken from Bailey, you'd have to say, through the castle section. With Duffy's up, staying in the 7th place that he qualified in. Supply Raptor's up 2. Mods is down 3. Veyron is up 8. We have sector 2 yellow flags waved, and I'm not sure what's happened there, and I believe there's been another collision as the Alpines on this safety car restart have had an absolutely horrendous time as he's collided with an Alfa Romeo, and I believe it's PWW Thor, and no front wing at all. As Crispy is looking to try and make inroads again after that horrendous situation at turn 1, as both Alpines getting involved in collision. Whether they collided with each other or collided with other cars and just happened to be in the same place, I'm not sure. We didn't see that bit. But Alpine are going to be absolutely fuming that it's actually happened to them, as we have racing happening here for P8 at the moment. Mods SC Boy on the racing lines. He's going to go for the late break around the outside line, potentially racing with the McLaren. Oh, and he's crashed it into the wall, I believe. And and there is Supply Raptor, who's getting into the mixers. There is some ghosting. He'll be lucky that the ghosting was on there, because that would have been a horrendous collision, I believe, with Clips. And Supply Raptor was just caught napping, tried to put that foot down on the accelerator pedal, and it did not work out at all, trying to defend on that inside line, unfortunately, for the McLaren, as Montez Seaboy now down 2 positions on where he started, and he's beginning to make some inroads here as he's closing down on No Limit No AQL and the Mercedes of Duffy's in front. But themselves are currently being held up here, you'd have to say, by PWW, the dude who is really struggling on these hard tyres at the moment. He's definitely got the temperature in there, surely. He just does not have the grip because of the high compound of tyres. Of course, it's a harder compound. It's significantly harder compared to the medium tyre, and you can see it on the pace itself. He's just losing time and hemorrhaging it with every corner. And it's not going to help his case, of course. So we're following the Mercedes of Duffy's as he closes on the dude here. Just not working out well at the moment for the Mercedes. He's losing time to those in front of him, so he wants to get this overtake done. And of course, there's no DRS here, so he's going to have to do it with overtake, ERS, and the slipstream. And it's working well for him as he goes up to 5th place, but the dude could very easily tuck him behind, and I think that's what he's trying to find. But the Aston Martin is covering all the space here, and he's trying to make 2 positions on this straight here as No Limit No AQL, and Duffy's is surely going to hold on to the position here, but with plenty of people getting into collisions. I believe we've got a spinning car, and that is an Alpha Tauri of PWW, the dude who's going to be absolutely fuming. He's got involved in that because he was just trying to defend the position, but a bunch of drivers all trying to get past him as quickly as possible with those hard tyres, and he's going to have to take it down the escape road. And the man of the moment, you'd have to say, the guy who was just keeping all that consistency together, is going to be hemorrhaging time without that front wing, and he's going to have to change surely onto a set of medium tyres if he wants to go to the end of this race. But he's going to have to do 18 laps on them, which is going to be not impossible, but certainly quite difficult. Those in front of him at the moment, Peronde, in all of that battling, Danny Rick has managed to get in front of the Brazilian of Peronde. So if these drivers do decide to go to the end of this race, which is again going to be a tough ask but possibly doable, they're going to have to really look after the tyres. But Peronde, who really wants to take a race victory here tonight to continue on his stint of championship, potentially a championship victory if this carries on, he'll want to get past Danny Rick as quickly as possible, but he has got turn 13 nailed as he's absolutely pile driving the curb. People just trying to hold on here, and the Williams of Marie also potentially on here for what will be a very, very classy podium if they decide not to pit. And Bailey has to pit, of course, because he hasn't had his mandatory pit stop yet. Theoretically, as we said, Danny Rick, Peronde and Marie have all done it under the safety car. They could go to the end of the race if they wanted, if they can make it, that is. But Duffy's is slowly but surely getting into the mix here, as Marie is looking very, very quick here, as she's now beginning her push with the DRS open, of course. Peronde is not pushing Danny Rick that hard, but Danny Rick himself is looking to try and defend as much as he can, but it's a bit of a Mercedes sandwich between 2nd and 5th at the moment, because Duffy's is starting to get in the mix, and suddenly Marie's got pressure from both sides here, and that might put her under some significant pressure if she tries to defend too hard from Duffy's. And Montez Seaboy back up to 6th place as well. Is where he started. He had an absolutely appalling start to this race, but the safety cars brought him right back into it again. We're back on board with Danny Rick on the Mercedes, looking back at the moment of those 3 drivers all having to cope with the dirty air effect. Very well taken turn 12, you'd have to say, by the Mercedes. Peronde once again. Just hopping the curb at turn 13. A lot of drivers choosing to avoid that curb. He wants to absolutely demolish that curb. Well, best lap from Marie. Losing quite a little bit of time, but getting it all back here. So I'm wondering if she's running a lower downforce setup, because on this straight she's earning it, but she's used quite a lot of her ERS in comparison to those around her. because Parondi is looking to try and make a move here on Danny Rick, and Danny Rick has got absolutely no answer for it under that DRS. He might be able to make the move potentially into turn 3, but he's going to have to cope with the dirty air effect, and that's not going to help his case if he mounts the curb and absolutely pile drives a load of oversteer. Oh, and he's at the wall as well. You'd have to argue here that he might be a bit more under pressure from Marie than he will be putting Parondi under pressure himself here, as Thor has retired from the session. He's actually retired at turn 13, and I'm not sure if there was a little collision there between Marie and Duffy's, but Duffy is certainly looking for it and putting Marie under some immense pressure here, and suddenly the Red Bull of Mods SC boy is now getting into the mix as well. This is a battle for P2, potentially P1. No virtual safety car is being called here. And we are going straight back to green flags, so no interruptions at all for the Alfa Romeo's demise. See how they do going through 8 and 9. Again, they're just not able to hold on, but Parondi has managed to get past Danny Rick in all of that. He's now starting to already pull that gap on Danny Rick at the moment, as Danny Rick, of course, making that move. Did Parondi on that straight into turn 1, and Danny Rick just not able at all to have any answer for it, and actually he's now fallen out of DRS territory to Parondi already, and that is just going to make Parondi smile ear to ear here, because he knows he's out of the DRS territory, which means he's now on a race on his own here. And actually Marie might be slowly but surely looking here at the back end of Danny Rick and thinking maybe I could make my move and potentially make a move going into turn 1. I'm not going to do it just yet though, Danny. I might put you under pressure at turn 3. Oh, it's very well taken through turn 1 for Marie. Heading through turn 2, it's a wider entry, which means she's going to get the clip on if she can just try and hold on. She pops it into overtake with the DRS open, and Danny Rick in 2 laps in a row, he's down 2 positions, and Marie now up into what you'd argue is a prospective second place if they choose not to pit again. But Marie is suddenly really in contention for a solid podium here. Azerbaijan clearly a circuit that she really likes here, and Danny Rick is trying his hardest to put pressure on Marie, but surely Duffy's is going to be knocking on the door of Danny Rick to say, look, I'm a quicker driver here, mate, you better let me through. Or perhaps Team Mercedes are going to say, no, you are racing with each other, you're going to have to get past normally. Not going to help Mercedes' case, of course, in the championship if they choose not to. And choose to just race it out. Of course, if they do choose to race it out, in the constructors especially, they are, at the moment anyway, significantly down the field. And on 26 points, the current leaders at the moment are Haas on 78. So Mercedes currently in P4 and 5. Mercedes are going to be in a very, very solid position to take some good points here tonight, and they really don't want to bottle it. Let's see what Duffy's and Danny Rick does here. Danny Rick is hemorrhaging time, hemorrhaging positions, clearly going through a little bit of a graining phase at the moment, as Veyron has retired for P9, as he just manages to get past us. Duffy's, is there going to be a safety car right at the last minute, or is Marie going to be under some pressure from the 2 Mercedes? It's later braking, as there's a significant collision between Marie and Danny Rick, and you have to suggest that he wasn't really looking for the move there on Marie. He was just looking to get past his teammate, but as I rightfully said, they have to pick and choose their fights, and surely Danny Rick should have pulled out of that one, because Mercedes would have been in prime position for some good points here, and you'd have to argue that is now some significant points dropped as a result. Very close margins for Aston Martin though, as he's trying to get onto the back of the Williams Mercedes of Clips. Danny Rick is going to be fuming there. He was in a real position, but the graining phase had clearly been a lot longer than he expected. And that later braking manoeuvre to just stay in front of his teammate, take advantage going into turn 1. He misjudged it with the earlier braking, of course, of Marie. And Marie is just going to get away with it, you'd have to argue. Is the Williams. She didn't really do anything wrong. She just turned and made her line, and it was an opportunistic move from Danny Rick. And Duffy's will have to just argue, look, I did my best there. But Danny Rick made the mistake, and Mercedes have really dropped some big points here tonight. On board with Marie and the Williams. As Perondi now getting onto the back here of Bailey. Now Bailey, of course, still needs to has to do a pit stop. They have to argue Perondi and Marie both have to pit as well. They've made the mandatory pit stop, but they might not be able to go to the end. But Perondi is going to make it very much known that he is now the race leader once again in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And it is currently P1 and P2 in the standings, currently racing it out. Of course, Bailey started all the way down in P17, so whatever happens at the moment, if these drivers do decide to pit, he's going to be on for a very, very, very well-earned podium. Let's take a look again at the tyre situation. You can see 11 laps versus 8 laps, though they have to knock about 3 laps off on everyone else's tyres, because of course for those that didn't pit after the safety car, that is. With sector 2, 3 yellow flags waved. I believe that is for an incident between PWW Reskiller and the Dude. I think that might be at turn 16. As we're nearly halfway through this race at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Once again, good evening if you're watching in the UK. Good afternoon if you're watching over in the United States. Welcome to PWW. This is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Where have you been? It's been a very, very great race. If you've just tuned in, we're about to start our 13th lap of this amazing Grand Prix circuit. And some very, very heated, intense battles. Mercedes at one point were looking to be taking as many points as they'd actually earned throughout the season in just this one race. 22 points would have been handed to Mercedes. 22 points is what they currently have, but unfortunately for Mercedes, they bottled it, and Danny Rick, with an opportunistic move with his teammate, got into a collision with the car in front without DRS in Marie, and Mercedes was spun out into the pit lane exit. Now currently down in P8, trying to close down the gap on the Aston Martin Mercedes of No Limit, No EQL. Back on board at the moment with Bailey, as he's trying to continue closing down on Perondi and maybe make a challenge to him heading into turn 3, but he's electing not to put the pressure on Perondi in that particular corner, but a little bit of a wider exit from Perondi, so he was a bit, I think he may have been a bit worried that the Alfa Romeo was actually looking for it. And of course, if they get into a collision, Marie will be very happy to pick up the scrap. She's currently in P3 at the moment and has not shown the pace throughout this season that she's got right now. She's absolutely loving life in the Williams at the moment in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. She's absolutely flying high until she gets a 3-second penalty. Sorry for that, Marie. Oh, I feel like Crofty after Charles Leclerc spun it at Turkey. It's a commentator's curse, and I'm sorry for that. She's now with a 3-second time penalty, which is really not going to help her case, actually, because there's a bunch of drivers all close here, and she's going to be hoping that a bunch of drivers all start to feel the pressure. And I'm wondering, actually, if she's now starting to pick up the pace a little bit, because she's realised that 3-second penalty may actually harm her later down the line. She is definitely putting the pressure on a lot quicker, because she's just put that piled on the power of that Mercedes power in the back of the Williams quite early, but she's going to struggle down the straight here. She might have the lower downforce set up, and there's a little bit of a mistake there through turn 20. She is got very limited DRS, and I have a feeling she might derate very shortly as she piles it out of overtake. Bailey retakes the lead of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and Perondi relegated back down to second place as Marie is looking again to keep putting pressure on these two in front. But crucially, we do have a DNF. Lil Joker has a DNF from this race, and he's binned it at what seems to be the castle section, and the safety car has now been called out once again. And Bailey is going to be smiling ear to ear here, because it is coming to the end of the life of these medium tyres if you are looking to look for a hard tyre to the end of this race here. And he is going to be smiling ear to ear here, because Perondi and Marie will probably pit again. And Bailey now has suddenly become a real race winner contender here. And Danny, Rick and Duffy's are going to be looking at the situation here. 3-second time penalty for Supply Raptor under the safety car. It's a little bit of an embarrassing 3-second penalty, that one, you'd have to say. I want to be cutting corners under the safety car. Everyone reducing speed to 40%, and 40% of their usual speed, rather. None of these drivers can overtake, of course, under a full course caution. All 5 of you tuned in, I'm assuming, if you are watching live. You are currently racing in this race. Hope you are keeping yourself steady and are able to just bounce back if any mistakes are made, like that one from Mods SC Boy. Very unlike him. It's been a bit of an up and down race, a little bit of an uncharacteristically unfamiliar race for this man, because he's usually quite consistent. But the Red Bull, making a mistake under the safety car. Let's see what happens though. Should imagine Bailey's going to be coming in for his pit stop, and I should imagine Perondi is going to be doing the same thing. The only issue, of course, with Bailey is that he can't do a medium stint. Perondi can certainly move over to another medium tyre. Marie certainly can. So we'll see what Bailey does. Is Bailey going to take the risk here and go for a set of softs, or is he going to keep it content and go for a set of hards? It is a set of soft tyres for Bailey, so he is hoping to carry those soft tyres maybe 10 or 11 laps. He will now come out in the lead of this race, of course, as Marie also gets a front wing change as well. That's going to harm her considerably, because of course Mods SC Boy is going to get out in front, but he's on a set of hard tyres, which means he is now going to be struggling here. And of course he's doing the one stop. He started on the medium, so he's chosen to go for the less risky strategy of moving over to the hard. Bailey certainly taking the gamble. If the safety car period lasts as long as he wants it to be, he could only have to do a solid 8-lap stint on a set of softs, which is certainly doable. Perondi will be tucked in behind Mods SC Boy, and he will be hoping that Mods SC Boy is not going to hold him up too long on these hard tyres. But we have seen the difficulties of overtaking people on hard tyres. Take a look at what happened to PWW Dude when it goes wrong. Set of hard tyres and a collision when 3 or so drivers were just trying to get past him. He spun out and was relegated down to his current position now of P11. We've lost 4 drivers out of the 18 that started here in Azerbaijan. So we're down to 14. And under the watchful eye of the virtual Bernd Mailander of the safety car, the red Mercedes AMG Black, sponsored of course by CrowdStrike. Will continue to lead the field. So, situation report as regards to penalties. It's usually a circuit where we do end up seeing some issues with penalties in usual sort of esports leagues. But so far, PWW quite clean from track extension penalties. The unfortunate nature, though, for Marie is that she is with a 3-second time penalty amongst some very quick drivers behind her. Will be looking to try and match her with pace, and she's not going to be happy about the scenario with that 3 seconds. So I have a feeling she's going to be one of the drivers that's going to push quite early on, try and make some ground upon drivers, and then make ground upon those around, as we do have a car pitting, and I believe it is the Williams of Clips choosing to make a pit stop. Of course, perhaps not able to pit because his teammate Marie was in. See what it does though. Maybe a set of soft tyres to the end of this race, as Williams looking to match both of their drivers on a set of softs, and a fresh front wing as well for the number 97. He exits into P10. Back towards the front, Bailey in the Alfa Romeo started P17 on the grid, currently leading this Grand Prix on a risky strategy, medium to soft, which the medium tyre that he did not pit on during the first safety car. This was his tyre that he started on in the race. The second safety car has come out at just the right time, because of course it would have been due for him to come into the pits to change his tyre. Mods SC Boy worked out quite a treat for him, but he has chosen not to go for the risky strategy. He's decided to go onto the hard tyre. He wants to go to the end of this race and maximise his points value without making potentially some rash decisions and hit a cliff on the soft tyre. As it stands, the soft tyre will be doing just 9 laps, and potentially it may be 8 laps of hard racing. So Bailey is not going to be putting too much pressure on the soft tyres, but he doesn't want to put not enough pressure on them, because of course they will be very cold, and it is characteristic of this circuit that the drivers do struggle to put temperature into the tyres because, of course, there's a lot of straights on this circuit. And because of the 90-degree corners that match with it, as soon as the tyres are cold, you've got no grip at all. We're following Mercedes of TRL Duffy's once again, currently in P5. Take a look again at the situation as regards of position changes. Duffy's actually up 2 positions, started P7, he's now up to P5. Danny Rick, right, they're back into quite a high point scoring position at the moment. Between the pair of them, Mercedes are going to get 18 points. They would have had 22 and matched the amount of points that they've got throughout this entire season. But they're going to get 18 at the moment as it stands, and hopefully no more of those mistakes from Mercedes. They've been given a lifeline here to get closed down the gap on those in front of them at the moment. Of course, the leaders in the championship at the moment are Haas, with 78 points in total for the American outfit. Worth making note, of course, that out of the 78 points, Peronde has scored all of them. So Reskiller, we're hoping to get some points on the board. Otherwise, Haas may end up becoming champions with just one driver scoring all the points. Lap 17 of 26 under the safety car. Once again, you're tuning in to PWW, the Catalina wine mixer event. This is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Hope you're enjoying your afternoons in the United States, your evenings in the UK. A wonderful starry Saturday night over here in the United Kingdom. I hope whatever you're doing over in America, it is equally a wonderful day. It's certainly a wonderful day for racing at the moment, with the drivers, 14 remaining drivers here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, all in a real possibility here of potentially winning this Grand Prix after this safety car. 9 laps ahead of us. It'll be 8 actually at the end of this one. Of course, Bailey going to be very happy about that scenario, because a real possibility that the soft tyres certainly will go to the end. Of course, there will be maybe couple of laps stint where they may start to struggle, but perhaps he will have pulled enough a larger gap here on the rest of them in front to take a victory here tonight and close down the gap and the championship lead to Peronde. Starting from P17 as well, I'm sure PWW will be heavily recognising what a great performance it will have been from the Alfa Romeo. Just see at the top there the safety car coming in at the end of this lap, and once again Bailey will be leading the charge. Just wiggles his steering wheel left and right. We'll see when he chooses to go. He actually went a little bit earlier than we expected him to. So of course it is a very large run with a lot of a tow, but he has gone. And we'll be going green here once again at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and Bailey does lead the way with Mods SC Boy in second place and Peronde in third, and Peronde will be looking to try and get past Mods SC Boy as quick as he possibly can. No disrespect of course to Mods, he does have the hard tyre on though, which is going to make him significantly slower, as the third place man, FRA Crispy, has spun it at 1 and he's immediately rage quit from the session. And that's him out of the standings to potentially close down the gap on Bailey and Peronde, who is just leading this charge here, as it looks like Marie was looking for a little bit of a gap there on Peronde, or perhaps defending maybe from Duffy's, who is also on the soft tyre here, as we do have another spinner, and I believe it is Reskiller in the Haas, down to P13. It may be the ghost of FRA Crispy Mobile to get close and make an overtake potentially. Peronde still stuck behind Mods SC Boy, but maybe not for so long, because he's got a 3-second penalty as he's trying to hold on here, as the Mercedes of Duffy's has also now spun at turn 7. As we're following these drivers through turn 12 at the moment, and Marie, with that 3-second penalty, she's going to be wanting to pull the gap here on Danny Rick and No Limit No EQL as quickly as she possibly can, but in order to do that she's going to have to get past Mods SC Boy like Peronde. With these hard tyres, he's already falling 2.5 seconds back from Bailey at the moment, as he is continuing to extend his leader towards the front here, and he is under some serious pressure, is Mods SC Boy, to try and defend from the Haas, but the championship leader surely is going to have absolutely none of this here as he tries to get past the equally white Red Bull for this race here, as they've tried to celebrate, of course, their relationship with Honda. SC Boy is really holding his own despite it, and they're potentially going to be going 3 wide into this as Marie pulls out of it and hopes there may be a collision between the two of them. Excellently crafted from Perondi to get past, and Marie will want to do the same to not lose too much time. She does go down that inside line. Perondi does crash into the wall ever so slightly. There's no DRS at the moment for these drivers, so it is going to be auto here as Mods SC Boy is surely going to have to go around the outside here on hard tyres. He may end up losing a little bit of downforce though, because he's going to be losing it to Perondi as they continue around that outside line, and a slight collision as Marie does manage to keep on as he tries to go for it, and there is a collision with Danny Rick, I believe, and there goes. There's Mods SC Boy on the hard tyres. The grip was simply not there, and he is going to be relegated all the way down the field as he's now down to 10th. And he is going to be devastated. The hard tyres just simply were not going to switch on versus those on softs and mediums. Marie now back up to P3, but she's got that 3-second time penalty hanging over her head, and she's not going to be happy if she loses out on her first podium in PWW. But she's going to have to hope that Perondi keeps giving her a tow here, because Danny Rick is just about to leave her DRS territory here, and that might then begin to open a gap that she may be looking for over the next 7 laps. Perondi absolutely demolishing the curbs at turn 3, and she has broken DRS now, has Marie, as she is going to be using the tow, and she's using a lot of overtake as well to stay within regions of Perondi. I think she's well aware that this is a crucial bit of the race here. If she can stay out of the DRS territory of Danny Rick and keep within DRS territory of Perondi, she's going to be in a prime position to take a podium, but she's got that 3-second penalty hanging over her head. DRS is now enabled. She's going to get DRS on Perondi heading into turn 3. Will she go for the lead, or will she just use Perondi as a tow maybe to just continue building that gap on Danny Rick, who of course is going to be wanting to close down the gap, as Mercedes once again have bottled the opportunity to take some good points here tonight. Only one driver will be scoring points. It would have been 2 as Mods SC Boy has DNF'd. He's actually retired in the pit lane, I think after a devastating incident going into this corner. Turn number 4. He is not going to be happy and will be without points here tonight. Iron Fox therefore will be taking the 10th place, as Reskiller is actually 17 seconds back. He'll be hoping that he might be able to get anywhere near Iron Fox and potentially at least contribute some points to Haas and the championship leaders at the moment in the constructors standings. Gap 3.3 seconds to Bailey and Perondi. Bailey is on fresh soft tyres that are going to be miles quicker than those on the mediums at the moment, but of course they may fall off a cliff fairly soon. We'll have to see. Of course, those tyres are only maybe around about 2 laps old if you take into consideration the fact he did pit under the safety car. Sit rep Danny Rick now back in the DRS territory of Marie. She's not had the best lap here, and the Mercedes is going to be looking to close down the gap down on Marie and take a podium. But the Aston Martin of No Limit No EQL is on fresh soft tyres himself here, but he's already derating. Take a look at that steering wheel. I'm seeing very limited, and in fact I believe he's actually dropped to 0%, so he's now fully ran out of ERS, as I believe we've just seen Supply Wrap to pile drive into the wall at turn 19-20. He will now pit will the McLaren, and I suspect if he's not going to go to the end, I'm sure with the wing damage he's going to fall well out of the points here. He may retire from this session, we'll have to see, but he's down in P8 and has to make that pit stop now with that front wing damage. At the moment, Marie's still holding on to P3 and trying to put pressure on Perondi, who's not having the best run of form here. Marie is putting him under some pressure here, but he does have the advantage of a little bit of extra ERS on those straights. We have seen Marie not able to manage her ERS as effectively as some of the drivers around her at the moment, and in this circuit she's just trying to make sure she stays within the territory of Perondi, because it is so crucial that she stays within DRS if she wants to have any chance of potentially taking a solid podium here tonight. But that 3-second penalty is hanging over her head, and she's going to have to hope that Danny Rick behind gets a 3-second penalty and maybe even No Limit No AQL, and hopefully then she will be able to smile ear to ear with her first podium in PWW. The Mercedes. Again, Perondi pile driving the corner. Danny Rick very close and maybe even just slightly grazing the wall with the medium tyres. 4 laps to go upon the Alfa Romeo crossing the line, and you can see the gap is rising ever so slightly, you'd have to suggest. Maybe the soft tyres starting to now wear out a little bit thin. You see Marie would have been in a prime position here to make an overtake, but she closed the DRS early. She doesn't want to make the move on Perondi again. She just wants to use him as a bit of a tow. But in doing so, she's losing time to Danny Rick, as Perondi has absolutely pile-drived it into the wall at turn 2. I'll be surprised if he's got away without damage there. As Danny Rick is looking to try and get into the wing mirrors of the Williams, but very well executed from all 3 of those drivers, and I think Perondi has just got away with it. I'd have to say he's very lucky that he's got away without any kind of damage there. If not, I'm sure Jeff will be, or Brazilian Jeff rather, will be sort of screaming down his ears to say, look, if you do that again, it's going to give us some significant suspension damage, and that happens, of course, you're out of the race. Never mind having to pit for a fresh front wing. Marie slowly but surely getting the gap on No Limit, No AQL, but Danny Rick is breathing down her neck here. And she might be out of the chance of a podium from just 3 mistakes. That's all it was, 3 mistakes. And the gap between Perondi and Bailey is really now starting to fall. Bailey's lost 0.2 of a second here. The question is he going to be approaching a cliff very soon? And how is he going to be able to manage his tyres? And will that 3-second gap fall very rapidly over the next 3 laps? He's going to need to find 1 second per lap, will Perondi, if he wants to take the victory here tonight. Unless, of course, an overtake is made. DRS open for Marie. Is she going to make the move on Perondi? She is looking for the move on Perondi, and she gets past Perondi, and the championship leader relegated to P3. And she's now looking to try and make some inroads potentially on Bailey, but with that 3-second penalty hanging over her head, maybe she's thinking, I've got to start pulling now. A little bit of time here. Perondi is also struggling for ERS, but Danny Rick is not. And he's looking to make potentially a little bit of a last-minute charge here, because he's got the electrical energy versus Perondi and Marie, and that is going to certainly put second and third place under some pressure. Supply Raptor for McLaren now getting the fastest lap of this race in P9, so that will be an extra point for McLaren Mercedes. Let's follow Perondi again as we go through turn number 7. Well, we saw that collision earlier on actually between Little Joker and Bailey, who ended up having to serve a 5-place grid penalty, now leads this race. Just saw a very quick snippet of the Alfa Romeo just then at that particular corner. And he is losing time to this pack between 2nd, 3rd and 4th place here. Oh, a low graze of the wall again for Danny Rick. Bono will be whispering down his ears, just try and avoid hitting those walls. Danny, you're going to put yourself under some unnecessary pressure here. And this is where the power unit struggles will now begin for Perondi, who will have DRS on Marie, but won't have the energy to put the car in potentially a attacking position. He may have to put the car into a defensive position versus Danny Rick. He is not using his overtake, so he is buying his time here, is the Mercedes, and he is certainly going to be putting that pressure on Perondi towards the end of this race, as Marie is just looking to continue defending for Perondi and Danny Rick. No overtake looking likely here as they head through into turn 4. And the Haas, later on the brakes through turn 4 is the Haas actually. Supply Raptor setting another fastest lap of the race, and what is happening for the dude at the moment? He is absolutely flying high after that spin. P6 is certainly going to be happy with this bounce back of a performance here, as Danny Rick is just getting out of the wake of Perondi. I'm wondering if it's just to cool down the engine and cool down the tyres here, because it's clearly starting to feel it a little bit. Which then begs the question, is he going to have to abort this last minute charge? He's got well over 50% ERS here, probably only around about 20 for Perondi, and Marie has barely got anything at all. You think she's going to derate potentially on the straight here, as the gap is falling significantly to Bailey. Gap now 2 seconds. I wonder if Bailey is going to be able to hold on to the victory here tonight. Whether that might be in question or not, we're going to be starting the penultimate lap here. Has the soft tyres started to fall off the cliff? There's no significant blistering, you'd have to say, as we're on board at the moment with Bailey, and you can see the blistering not potentially there. We'll have to see as he gets out of the shadows. There's no blistering to be seen, but certainly graining could be a factor. It's Danny Rick very late on the brakes in that battle for P3 with Perondi. And Marie is going to have to be hoping that Danny Rick or Perondi or both of them make a mistake here. Perondi potentially going to be looking for a move maybe into turn 3. He's got the advantage in ERS versus Marie. He's not going to go for it. Danny Rick also not going to go for it. I'm wondering if this is very much going to be that last lap dash. It's certainly advantage Danny Rick here, both without a time penalty with Perondi, but he has significantly more ERS than both drivers in front of him. No Limit No QL certainly not in the mix here, and you'd have to say here that Marie's going to get minimum P4. Maximum could be P2, but a few things need to happen in her favour if she wants that. But she needs to make sure she doesn't get another time penalty, because 6 seconds would be absolutely devastating. And that would put her under pressure from No Limit No QL on those soft tyres. But of course, they are aging horribly at the moment, as the gap has now fallen to 1 second, and Marie might just be entering into DRS territory. It's going to be crucial turn 16 here. Is she going to have the power versus Bailey? She is going to have the power versus Bailey. She doesn't have overtake available, so she's going to be using it now, heading towards into the DRS detection point. Here they come across the line now. Is she going to be in DRS? She is going to be in DRS under Bailey here as we start the final lap of this race. She's got DRS on Bailey, and Bailey is now under some serious pressure as Perondi is also looking to close down the gap, and he is now derating going into turn 1. He's got no energy here, and she's going to try and put the pressure around the outside line. There's a slight collision, and Danny Rick also trying to get to the mix, but he's now used up all his ERS. Is it too late? He goes down for the dive down the inside line, heading through into turn 2. Oh, he's in the wall and he's out of the race, and the Mercedes are going to be soaring absolutely nothing in this race, and it is now going to be a 3-person drive to the end of this race for the race victory here tonight, and Danny Rick is going to be absolutely fuming that has happened, and now Marie is potentially going to be in battle here for a race win here, but she's certainly got a podium here tonight. She's going to be happy about that one. Is she going to put the pressure on Bailey? You'd have to argue she probably is not going to do so. She knows that she's got that time penalty, but she's certainly got a podium. Oh, Supply Raptor's out of the race at the same corner as well at turn 2, and he's collided into what seems to be a similar position to Danny Rick, and they're going to keep battling hard going through turn 12, and that's a mistake for Bailey, and they're colliding going through there, and Marie is going to be looking to try and get past Bailey. Those soft tyres are completely dead on the back of that Alfa Romeo. He has absolutely no grip at all on this final lap of this race as he continues on, does Bailey, but those soft tyres are going to be really, really horrible going through turn 16, and he collides again with Marie in second place, but she's going to have DRS. Is she going to be looking for the win? You'd have to suggest that Bailey may end up winning this race regardless. His battle is with Perondi, not with Marie with that 3-second time penalty. She's going to go down that inside line, and she's going to try to take victory here tonight, but all eyes are going to be on Perondi. Is he going to be able to take it off of Bailey? She is. He's certainly going to win the Grand Prix. Out of all of that, Perondi is your race winner on the final lap at the final gasp of air, and Bailey is going to be absolutely fuming that soft tyre stint did not work in the end. That was incredibly close margins, and in the end they were separated by a very, very small margin, and potentially it's going to be milliseconds, because I do not see an interval lap time between Perondi and Bailey. We'll have a look at the classifications when they come through. Clips comes across the line in 7th place in the end, and Williams will be taking a very, very good chunk of points, and well done to Marie on her first podium in PWW. No Limit No QL finishes in 4th, with the dude in the end finishing in a very solid 5th place despite the spin out earlier on. Of course, Iron Fox in the Alpine will be happy with a solid P8 despite the aged soft tyres himself. He wasn't in the mix relay, but he will continue onwards with 4 points being added to his tally. And of course, FRA Crispy will not be scoring points because he did leave the session after his spin halfway through this race. So correct me if I'm wrong, that would mean Supply Raptor would take 10th place. He'd have to just double check and see if he did complete 90% of this race. I think he did, which would mean, despite the fact he DNF'd at turn 2 at the same place as the Mercedes of Danny Rick, maybe he just DNF'd a little bit, maybe a few meters in front, to take the victory.
Nice.
And take that point, if indeed. That'll be down to the stewards to decide. And what an intense race that was in the end. Let's go to the podium. And there it is. Out of all of that, it is Mr. Edu Peronde
Right, guys,
taking the top step of the podium, and a solid victory for him.
Over the next week. Next week we don't have a race, but I'll hold a social
and indeed it is a solid victory for the Haas at the very last gasp, and a very solid P3 indeed for her first podium in Formula 1 on PWW for Marie. And the second place man Bailey is going to be fuming, despite the fact he's absolutely deserved of his second place in that race and the driver of the day performance. He was beaten by less than half, well, just a little bit more than half a tenth, 0.059 seconds, with Marie with that 3-second time penalty. You'd have to argue she should have won that race, but she misses out because of the track extensions. No Limit No QL, the Mexican, finishes in fourth with the dude. A very solid P5 in the end for him, with a Toneless Death and Alpha Tauri having an appalling qualifying and bouncing it back for 18 solid points for the Italian outfit. Williams rounds off 7th place with a double points finish, of course, with Clips and the Canadian with that one. Iron Fox in 8th, Crispy in 9th, and now the question relies on whether Supply Raptor did complete 90% of the race. According to this, he did, so he would take the extra point, despite the fact that he DNF'd maybe just a few meters in front of Danny Rick in 11th place after that collision on the final lap with Reskiller in 12th. Mods SC Boy, after his incident, unfortunately, he does not classify in 13th. And of course, 14th for Duffy's Little Joker for 15th, DNF for them. Veyron, Thor and Luciano also out of the running. And indeed an incredibly solid Grand Prix that we watched here at Azerbaijan. Such an intense race in the end between all of the drivers here in PWW, as they always bring. And I'm certainly looking forward to being alongside you in 2 weeks' time. As you may have heard in the background, we are on a week break next week before we return in Monza. For myself and the rest of the team here at PWW, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the Italian Grand Prix.